So I just have to let you know that you are being recorded.
And just want to tell you also that I'm fasting right now, so I'm not eating today. So, yeah.
It's like every other week for you, bro. It's not Ramadan anymore. You don't have to fast.
No, tomorrow is the Eid, like it's the celebration when we eat the meat and shit like that. So
hell yeah.
So the day before we fast, because we fast. I will not go into details.
All right, you just got to back up for me though, because all I see is this.
Okay, you tell me that. So you know what?
Back up right there.
Good. And you hear me? And you hear me good?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
You're still ugly though.
That I cannot change. I'm sorry.
5, 4, 3, 2. All right, guys, welcome back at this time. Here we are to talk about a pretty good fight card from my point of view, at least. I thought there were great fights all over it. We had Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till in the main event. We had Mauricio Shogun Hua versus Little Nog. I mean, great fights up and down. We've seen the return of Alexander Gustafsson. Carla Esparza looked like Carla Esparza of old. I mean, Hazmat Zemayev just fucking continues to impress everybody. Before we get into all that, though, I want to remind you guys to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages. Hit that little notification bell, and get this ball rolling. We're here with weekly videos, and I'm going to start pushing out way more interviews. We're going to try to get a couple of Bellator guys on this week and just keep pushing out content for you guys to enjoy. But back at it again, man. What'd you think of the card this weekend?
Personally, I feel like it's actually what I was expecting when it comes to the main card. I think the main card actually really delivered. The prelims wasn't that bad, but this show was more all about the main card, I feel.
No, for sure. And if someone would have gave you a betting site before, you would have made a lot of money on this, man. You pretty much successfully correctly guessed every single main card fight. I mean, you could have went 7 for 7 there, sir.
Maybe except for the co-main events between Fabricio and Gustafsson, but yeah, other than that, my prediction was right. That's
great
pretty
performance by Verdum too. I want to point that out. Nasty armbar. We'll get into that later. The setup was phenomenal. Just showed that black belt level jiu-jitsu. There's definitely different levels to this shit. Trust me. All right, guys. Well, the first fight of the night, Nathaniel Wood, the prospect, took out John Castaneda 3 rounds, a dominant decision. Nathaniel Wood outstruck Castaneda 136-66. Great fight. I've been a big fan of Nathaniel Wood ever since he beat Andre Ewell. I've been keeping an eye on the kid. He's done nothing but impress. He has that one lone loss against Dotson. But outside of that, he looked like one of the best prospects out of the UK.
Exactly. I feel like you're right. He's a pretty talented young man. How old is he, actually? He is.
I want to say he's on the closer side to 25.
Yeah, so he's pretty young and, pretty interesting in this division. I feel like we need more.
Yeah, he's only 20. Yeah. He's 26 years old.
Pretty young.
Trained under Brad Pickett.
We always need like fresh blood in the whole all divisions, but in this one, I feel like in the bantamweight division, the more the better, I think.
And the great thing about Nathaniel Wood is he's maybe 3-4 years away from his athletic prime. So we're not even seeing what his best possibility. He hasn't even grown into that man strength yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's already in the UFC, so yeah.
Exactly. Now, just wait till he's like Francisco Trinaldo. That boy got some grandpa strength. Let me tell you what.
Yeah.
Ramazan Emeev looked very dominant in his fight against Nicolas Stolis. He got a unanimous decision victory. It was a huge difference when it came to the takedowns. Emeev was able to score 4 takedowns. I know he attempted 12, but when he landed the takedowns, he was able to, secure top position. He worked on a couple submissions, and he looked very dominant throughout 3 rounds.
Yeah, these Russians are actually starting to become a huge problem to the MMA world, and people need to step up. Jiu-jitsu game needs to be better. Defensive takedowns needs to be better, and this is what we need to happen. Otherwise, I think that we will have Russian champions in every division.
And the scary part is Emil is so good, but the people don't even realize it because he's completely undershadowed when it comes to, Shezmet Hamayev now and
Yeah.
Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev. We have solid Dagestani Russian guys who are going to come in and really take the UFC by storm. You've seen what they've been able to do. You've seen what Khabib Nurmagomedov is able to do. You've seen what Shemaev has done in the past 10 days.
Yeah.
I mean, and the dude wants to turn around and fight at this next pay-per-view in August with DC and Stipe. I mean, it's just 2 weeks away we're talking. So within the matter of, 20 days, he's going to fight 3 times, 25 days? That's unheard of.
Like the thing is with this Russian having a not undefeated record is almost an insult. Like he have a 19 wins and 4 losses, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But since he doesn't have that, like for us, we are like right now for us to have undefeated Russians is become something normal, which is not normal.
No, for sure. I mean, we even talk about there's 2 undefeated Russians on this card. There's Evolev, who beat Mike Grundy, and then obviously we've seen what Shazmat was able to do against Reese. Yeah. I mean, it, like you said, man, it's a wave, and it's coming.
It's coming.
Betcha Correa, unfortunately, has now dropped, I believe, 2 in a row in her UFC career. Pani Kanzat looked amazing. Her striking was on point. Betcha was able to get in a couple good punches here and there, but outside of that, Kanzada had really dominated that fight. The numbers don't show it, but let me tell you what, Betcha's face definitely showed it. You can look at the total strikes and there's not a huge differential, but when you look down and you see the significant strikes for Betcha that landed were 56. Pani had 103, and those were mostly solid punches on her face. I mean, Betcha's face was fucked. She had a hematoma on her left side, I believe, within the first round, and Penny just kept that pressure. Betcha, I feel like she's short for that division, and I feel like with maybe a little bit of a lifestyle change and a nutritionist, she could probably make 25.
That's a possibility, but what I actually think is I think she's past her prime. That's what I think. I think Bet's been fighting for a long time.
Just don't let go of her, okay? I just want to see her some more.
Yeah, I know. I know that you're a big fan of her, and I don't exactly know why. I actually know why, but it's pretty weird. But in any event,
we won't talk about it on air.
I think that she just passed her prime, and I think that the level of competition in this females division is just.
Now we're starting to see the evolution of mixed martial artists, where you get kids who have been training mixed martial arts their entire life, not kids who have been training, jiu-jitsu and then adapt with striking. These are kids who grew up training mixed martial arts. Obviously, you see Nathaniel Wood, 26 years old. He is probably on even the latter side of that equation. You got guys you look at like Chase Hooper. The kid's 20? Obviously, he's been doing MMA since it started. And you look at guys like that nowadays, these younger guys who at 19, 20 are already super well-rounded.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what is happening. I think that it's no surprise to have a Bet Correa losing two fights in a row.
No, for sure. Now, there's some people who get rushed to the UFC, and then there's some people that take their time to get there. Tanner Boser fought all over the world before he ever even made it to the UFC. He fought in Abu Dhabi already before for ADC. He's fought all over the world. Japan, Canada is where he's from. He's fought all over the United States. He took his time to get to the UFC, and now he's making the most of it. He's had 2 great knockouts back to back. I mean, this Rafael Paseo, he hit him with a shot to the body and then hit him right in the eye, which made Paseo, completely wince. And then he fell, and then Tanner Boser was just all over him. I know you guys keep saying that Tanner Boser should go to 205. I think you guys are fucking crazy. Tanner Boser is winning fights by knockout at heavyweight. He needs to stay at heavyweight. He's fast for them. He moves way more than any heavyweight moves, and he moves a lot better than any of them move. If he can continue to do what he's doing, there are some exciting matchups. It's too bad that DC is going to eventually leave the heavyweight division, because I would love to see those 2 guys go at it, because somebody said it during the podcast. It was if Big Country Roy Nelson got in shape, Tanner Boser.
I think so. I really think so because he have those heavy hands like him,
Yes.
and there's some when you see him like facially, he kind of look like him. That's why maybe people are saying like I see the resemblance. But
The
yeah,
movement,
yeah, I
the
agree with you,
footwork for a big guy.
and I agree with you. He should stay at heavyweight. Who knows? Maybe if he goes to light heavyweight, maybe the weight cut will hurt him. Maybe maybe he will not be as fast for those light heavyweight that he is for the heavyweights division.
Yeah,
So
all the guys
yeah.
are just as fast as you, if not faster.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And he's winning. Like you said, he's winning fights. Why
Now,
change?
for sure. Wow, I don't. When you're winning fights, especially by finish,
Yeah,
there's absolutely no point. If you're
right.
getting dominated by a much bigger guy,
Yeah,
let's make that talk.
I agree with you.
Now we get to the first undefeated Russian on the card, 13-0. Mr. Mavzar Evolev completely dominated Mike Grundy. It was actually one of the better fights of the night. Mike Grundy had 6 takedowns, and if you look at that, you're like, damn, bro, how did he not? Yeah, that's a lot of takedowns. But those takedowns were about 2 seconds. It was
Yeah,
like my son trying to take me down. Evolev just popped right back up. You could tell like the level of wrestling that he is able to bring to the table. Mike Grundy is a much more accomplished wrestler, I believe, especially when it comes to MMA wrestling. But Evolov was just able to completely dominate Grundy, especially when it came to keeping the fight standing.
yeah, I agree with you. It's weird. Maybe you think that those Russians, they all just do grappling. Well, no, it's not all. They are not all the same. You have some fantastic striker like Zabit, and you have like Mosar, like who is a tremendous fighter, and he proved it. Like 6 takedowns, and he just popped back up. Like
Right
if
back
you,
up.
yeah, I think that if you see like the time spent in the ground, I think that is very, very like a few seconds, I will say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he literally just popped right back up, and he showed that you
Yeah.
don't just have to be a dominant wrestler, that you could use your wrestling to get back to your other offenses.
Exactly. He's a tremendous striker.
And then you got Kazmat, who just fucking smashes everybody.
He do whatever he wants. That dude.
Now, another heavyweight fight. Frank Mir Jr., Tom Aspinelli went in there and just completely made it look like an effortless performance against Jake Collier. He started it up with a big strike right to the stomach. It kind of, made him buckle, Jake. And then he just pieced him up with a very quick right. I really think Tom Aspinelli is another guy who, man, you could probably make 205, but if you're
Yeah.
winning fights by finish in the heavyweight division, don't go anywhere. You clearly have beautiful hands. You're clearly able to work your hands. Unfortunately, 8-2 record. Starting off his UFC career, looked very good in his UFC debut, but we'll see. I'm very interested to see how Frank Mir Jr. does in the UFC.
Yeah. It's funny how 100% of his strikes were significant. Like
Yeah,
he every
100%.
yeah every like everything. Like the fight lasted like 45 seconds. It was. I think that he just mauled him, just destroyed him. Huge,
100%.
great performance.
In the welterweight division, Jesse Ronson defeated Nicholas Dalby by a beautiful submission, 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Nicholas Dalby was definitely the bigger man in the fight, but you were able to see that Jesse was just a little smarter than Nicholas. Nicholas had him up against cage a couple times, and Jesse was able to secure that takedown and get the victory.
Yeah, exactly. Like he knocked him down. Cool. Like very, very interesting performance about Jesse. Like you said, Nicholas actually really looked like the bigger guy, but sometimes size don't matter.
It don't matter, bro. And once you lock on that rear naked choke, it really doesn't matter.
Exactly. Exactly.
Once you take the back, get those hooks in, I mean, size goes away real quick, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like Francis Ngannou has scary power. He can't hit that hard if he's on his back. I'm just saying, ask Stipe.
Ask Stipe. Exactly.
Francisco Trinaldo, and probably one of those, most likely the most controversial, not fight of the night, but finish because of what happened. Francisco Trinaldo dropped Jay Herbert in the 3rd round. Herbert lands stiff like this.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, it's hard to criticize Herb Dean in that moment because I don't know what he was necessarily looking at. In my opinion, from what I seen on the telecast, it almost looked like you could tell Jai was out. Now you could tell Dan Hardy was very upset.
Yeah.
Paul Felder was very upset. They were literally yelling at Herb Dean from cage side that he's out, he's out. Francisco Trinaldo, obviously, like they said, showed tremendous patience and waited and waited and waited for Herb to call the fight, and Herb never called the fight, so Trinaldo just lands 4 or 5 unanswered shots. And I think at that point when those shots landed, it was even a more indicator to me that obviously Jai was out. I mean, he would have been able to at least block one of those, grab a hand, do something. When you're stuck like this,
yeah,
your brain's cut off from your body. There's no communication.
I think that, yeah, Herb Dean got criticized a lot about this fight. I think that maybe because Greg Hardy yelled at him, and then we have that whole controversy between the two of them.
Tanner Boser also, that fight was maybe 2 or 3 shots too long as well. Tanner Boser hit Rafael Paseo, and that was Herb Dean as well. So I think at that point, the Francisco Trinaldo finish was just kind of like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Like, well, I'm not sure if I would have to say that Herb Dean have an off night, which is normal, and I think that it's natural that a referee will have a
Listen,
night.
nobody's perfect at their job. If they were, they'd be running the business.
Exactly. So I'm not sure what to think about it. I think that what I can say is that Francisco had a tremendous, like a very good performance in this fight.
Very good. He looked great.
He looked great. Like we were
But
talking
even Jai Haber looked really good as well. I mean,
Exactly.
It was a close fight, but Trinaldo just had the beautiful takedowns. He looked like the much bigger man. He also said at the end of the fight that he will no longer be fighting at 55. The cut is just too hard, and he plans on moving 170 pounds.
Which will be good for him, I think, because he looked good. He looked big, but he's no longer very young. So cutting weight will damage him pretty much, I think.
My favorite part of the whole situation with Herb and them was you seen Dan in the background. He was all like up and hot, and fucking Herb's like, "Hey, sit the fuck down, all right?"
Yeah, it was a good debate. I think that they actually both of them come from a good position. I think that Greg is not yelling just to yell. He's actually thinking about the health. Greg. I mean.
Dan. Greg Hardy's a football player.
Yeah, I know. I messed up. Don't mind me. I think that he actually come from a good place, and he's thinking about the health of the fighter, and Herb Dean.
Fighters.
Yeah, and Herb Dean the same, but Herb Dean maybe took it personally because he thought that maybe he's getting he's telling him how to do his job, which nobody likes to.
Let me ask you this. Just to throw a big monkey wrench in the situation. Had Jai Herbert not been from the UK and not been from the same area that Dan Hardy was, do you think the reaction would have been the same?
I think so, yeah.
All right. As long as that's what it is, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Now that's the end of the preliminary portion of that card. Now we get a huge 7-fight main card. I mean, this fucking card, there was 35 fights on this card, I swear. I rewatched it. It took me a whole day. It was crazy. Welterweights, Kazmat Chimaev. I don't even want to say defeated, completely dominated, mauled, one-sided beating. It looked like I was fighting my son out there. Yeah. Reese McKee. 68 total strikes landed, 40 of them for significant. One huge pickup and takedown. Reese McKee started the fight, and it seemed like within 2 seconds he was already out of the fight.
It was kind of horrific to watch. I think that Khamzat is actually next level. We don't need to see him fight another those middle.
I want to see him against Mike Perry or Nico Price.
Yeah, give him some straight killer right now. That's what we need to see. We need to test him with some very dangerous fighter. That's what we need right now. But dude, he's 8-0. He is a scary motherfucker. Those two performances in 10 days.
I have as many punches thrown and landed as Reese McKee in the UFC.
Crazy performance. He's actually good. Like he has some charisma. Like when he speaks in the microphone, you see that.
Yes,
Yeah, he
very
have.
charismatic.
Even if he's Russian, he can speak English pretty well. He's no issue. He has
Even
some.
his broken English just is
Yeah, he's
great.
good. He has some
I
ego.
smash. You
Yeah, he's
know,
good.
whatever you
Good.
like. One guy, two guy tonight. Yeah, I fight later. Whatever.
He actually really represent that Russian undefeated kind of fighter. Khabib is undefeated, but Khabib like is more humble, I think. Hamzat is actually a pay-per-view draw, I think.
Hamzat straight said, "You bring me my title, I smash them all."
Yeah.
He said he could beat the middleweight champion and the welterweight champion in the same night.
He called out McGregor. He said that he went to Ireland to confront him.
Yes, bro. During the Khabib and Conor fucking fight, when they were going off on each other, Kazmat went to defend his country's honor by going to Ireland to fight Conor McGregor. I mean, this dude's ridiculous. I love him.
Now, how much of those informations are actually true, we don't know. But just the fact that he's saying this, he's a pay-per-view draw. Give him a microphone, put him in a press conference, and you will see. I think that the guy actually can sell fights. Like he's someone that actually was needed in this division.
I really feel like him versus Mike Perry or Nico Price is a phenomenal fight. And then I want to see him against like an RDA. I want to see him against a Vicente Luque. There's some great fights in the welterweight division. I don't think he gets past Luque.
There's Luque. I would gladly see him fight against Maya also.
Maya, I see like when he gets to like Masvidal, Burns, Usman, I think he has real trouble with those guys.
Yeah. Like Colby. Yeah.
Colby's another guy. You know what I mean? Great wrestling. If you can do that, but see, Hazmat is just so good at everything.
He's an amazing striker also, not only grappling. So we will see.
100%.
Interesting.
Cowboy Oliveira went out there and had a beautiful performance against Peter Sabata. It really, I mean, how much better can Cowboy Oliveira get? He seems like he just gets better with time.
Just have him in those cars. You know that, like you said last week,
he's always exciting.
Yeah, you can't have a boring fight with a cowboy. Alex Oliveira is he's a cowboy, so
100%. Yeah. He lives up to that nickname. I mean, obviously Donald Cowboy Cerrone lives up to that nickname. Both of these two guys are just they really represent everything that it could be in the UFC when you got a cowboy. I mean, they put it all on the line. They leave it all out there, and they don't really make the decision for the judges hard at all.
Yeah, they don't care. They go at it, and what happened. They may have some losses in the MMA record, but you cannot say that they have some boring fights.
No, 100%. For you in the light heavyweight division, I know you were super excited to see Paul Craig. Yeah. He really took it to Antigulov. It seemed like he was trying to get that mental warfare down in the first couple of, seconds before the even fight started. He walked over to Antigulov before the fight. He got in his face, started screaming. He was really trying to get Antigulov to bring that pressure and to rush into it. It didn't take Paul Craig to do much. He was able to slap on that submission 2 minutes and 6 seconds into the fight, and that's all she wrote.
He took him down. Like once the fight goes to the ground, like Paul Craig is very dangerous, especially on his back. So Paul Craig jiu-jitsu game is actually something that's very, very interesting in this light heavyweight division because 100%. we don't have that much of jiu-jitsu experts in those heavy divisions. We have some Verdum, like we have those epic fighters, but there's not like a lot of them. So having a Paul Craig who is very, very technical in those divisions where it's more power than technique, I think that is very, very interesting.
I agree. When are we going to stop calling him Bear Jew Paul Craig and just call him Triangle Pear Craig? Because all he ever does is he triangles everybody. I mean, he's got the greatest triangle ever. I'm telling you, Paul Craig. Yeah. Don't let him be in your guard.
He can triangle a triangle, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the
Which does.
women's strawweight division, Carla Esparza looked very good against Marina Rodriguez. It was a back and forth performance by these two women, but obviously the takedowns by Esparza were definitely what won her the fight. I gave Marina Rodriguez the first round, Carla Esparza the second and third.
Yeah.
The one thing that Esparza kept doing, and even her coaches, was she was in a dominant position and she would put herself in a bad position by going for a leg or an ankle or something like that. I understand going for the submission, but when you're already dominating the round, or not dominating the round, but at least dominating the moment, why not continue to do that? At least ride out the round.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Carla actually, like, she can go for days. I think that she is a 5-round fighter fighting in 3 rounds because she puts so much pressure in 3 rounds fights. She doesn't care. She will go at it. She will put pressure the whole fight. And that's what she did. But I agree with you. Why go for the finish when you need to take your time? You need to do like Khabib.
Unnecessary damage.
Yeah. The best example is Khabib and Kamaru Usman. They don't take risks when they are in dominant positions in the beginning of the fight. They will still stay there and and see what happens. You don't need to go for the finish. Just lay there and beat up the other fighter.
Exactly. I believe both these two women have a very bright future in this bantamweight division. In the strawweight division. The strawweight at the top, there's a lot of cloudiness because of injuries and inactivities between other fighters. So really, with a victory, Carla Esparza could catapult herself to finding a title shot here, maybe with another win.
Exactly. We talked about it. She's having some wins. She's proving that she definitely deserves a place in this division. Why not? I think that may be another big fight, and we can talk about a title fight.
For sure. I'm excited for Marina Rodriguez, too. I feel like the sky is still the limit for this young lady, and we're going to see her very, very soon bounce right back.
Yeah, I agree with you.
In the heavyweight division, the big boys back at it again. Fabricio Verdum and Alexander Gustafsson for the very first time. Gustafsson moves up to that heavyweight division, and it didn't last long. A whole 2 minutes and 30 seconds is all it took for Fabricio Verdum to get the fight to the ground. He took his back at first and then obviously transitioned to a very nice arm bar. There's just different levels to this shit, and Fabricio Verdum is one of the best black belts to ever put on a pair of gloves.
Yeah. So I had 2 issues like watching the fight. First of all, Gustafsson's physique. I thought that he was a little bit heavy. I know that he moved up a weight class, but he didn't look like he was actually I don't know, he was in training camp or whatever. I think that he took this fight lightly, and I feel like he tapped pretty quickly. What I mean is, I think that he even tapped before Verdum got actually the arm extended.
Before he moved his hips up?
That's what I think.
I think the problem was, I think that Gus kind of realized that he had already been in a situation with Verdum before. They've already rolled. They've already trained together. And I think Gus just realized, hey, there's a better time and place for this. And obviously I picked the wrong guy to come up against.
I don't know. What did you think about him? What did you think about Gustafsson's performance?
I thought he looked really good when he came out. I thought he, looked fast. His movement was really good. His timing was on point. And then he got taken down.
Yeah, Gustafsson usually don't get takedowns like that.
No, he also doesn't have Verdum on his back though, trying to come after him.
I know, but he fought against the John Jones and the Cormiers. Like
how big were Jones and Cormier when they went into that cage? I guarantee you they weren't the same size as Fabricio.
After weight cut, Cormier really bounced back. Come on, Cormier is a big dude.
No, for sure. But I mean, I maybe 220 that night, the night of the fight. Yeah. Verdum's got to be at least 240, 250.
So what do you think? You think Gustafsson should stay in this division, move back down, do the yo-yo? What do you think?
I don't see the point of him being a light heavyweight right now. I think there's more intriguing matchups for him at heavyweight. But I also, if he wanted to hang it up, I wouldn't blame him.
Do you think that he should stay? He should have stayed retired.
I would need one more fight to give you a fair enough answer for that.
Okay.
I would need to at least see him one more time at heavyweight to be like, hey, listen, he should have never fucking did this.
Like we all want to see him fight. We are all fans, but if his head and his mind are not 100% in fighting, he should not come back to fighting. That's what I think.
Yeah, you're getting punched in the head for a living. Probably not a good idea if you're not all the way in it.
Exactly.
Now for Verdum, that was the end of his contract. Do you think he stays in the UFC? I honestly think he's going to Bellator.
That's a possibility. I think that there's so much fun fights for him in Bellator, but maybe he stays in the UFC. He have I think, a great relationship with Dana White, so we will see.
We shall see. In the light heavyweight division, the co-main event for the third time in 3 different decades, Mauricio Shogun Rua and Little Nog fought each other when they were 20, fought each other when they were 30, and have now fought each other when they were 40. This was Little Nog's final UFC/fighting appearance. Mauricio Shogun Rua unfortunately got the decision here. Little Nog said he couldn't have pictured himself fighting anybody else but Shogun. These fights, like they were saying on the telecast, were almost identical. It was so good. I mean, you could just have these guys fight 2 more times for me, and I'm straight.
They are a dying breed. I think that we will never have fighters like that. We will have great fighters coming in the MMA world, but we will never have these Brazilians killer
powerhouse gyms fighting and hating each other. Because there's a long rivalry between the 2 gyms. You got to understand, Vanderlei Silva came with Mauricio Shogun Rua, and then Big Nog and Little Nog and all those guys were a completely different gym. I want to say Anderson was with those guys too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the 2 huge rivalries when it comes to Brazilian fighting. Obviously, one of more of a standing style, the other more of a grappling school. But huge rivalry. They don't maybe not hate each other, but at least respect each other now.
Yeah.
I mean, the first fight they definitely hated each other, but now they've definitely grown to respect each other, and it was beautiful poetry in motion just watching those 2 punch each other in the face.
Yeah,
it seemed like it was exactly how it should have been for Little Nog's final experience.
It was a great performance. Like, we would have loved to see Chuck Liddell against Tito Ortiz this way when we saw the rematch, but yeah, it looked like shit. Chuck looked like shit. All due respect, Chuck looked like shit. But this fight, both of them, they looked great. Both of them had their moments. That's all we wanted to see.
100%. Now on to the main event of the evening: Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till for a huge title eliminator fight. What did you think of the performance of Darren Till and Robert Whittaker, and what did you think of the decision?
For me, I had no issue with the decision. I think Whittaker won this fight. He's dominated him. I think that in every aspect of the fight. When it came to striking, he was a better brawler than him. Maybe not a better clean striker, but a better brawler than him. He made the fight go dirty, and that's what he needed to do to win this fight.
The big shiny moment, I think, for Darren Till was the knockdown in the first round. I really feel like he almost finished Robert Whittaker, where Robert Whittaker was able to get his bearings back underneath him. You could tell he was really hurt. He got hit clean by an elbow, Darren Till. And Darren Till throws those elbows with ruthless intention, and he throws them inside the pocket, and he's very quick with it. You've seen him knock out people with those elbows before. The former champion took it right on the chin and kept on coming.
Yeah, but Whittaker, great performance by him. If it was up to me, I would give him the rematch for the title because I feel like he deserves it. He fought against some very dangerous fighter. He fought against everyone. I feel like he should be fighting for it. But then you have the Cannonier.
You got Cannonier. I think Cannonier versus Whittaker makes sense, especially because you don't even have Costa versus Izzy for another 2 months.
So you think
that fight's not till September. So you could rebook Whittaker versus Cannonier for September, October.
Mm-hmm. So you think that that's what should happen? And for Darren Till, what do you think that what should be next for him?
Mike Perry.
Why not? Why not?
They've been tripping back and forth. They've been wanting to fight each other. Honestly, for Darren, there's a lot of matchups in that middleweight division. He's already beaten Gastelum. Yeah. Why not Hermanson?
That would be great.
Why not Hermanson?
That would be a great fight.
He lost to Hermanson lost to Cannonier, correct?
Yeah, but he won his last fight, Hermanson,
Yeah,
and
he
he bounced
just
back.
won.
Yeah, so he bounced back. It would make perfect sense, I think. Hermanson against Darren Till, Whittaker against Cannonier, and the winner of this fight the loser of this fight, and the winner of the other fight for the belt. I agree with you.
It does make sense, especially when you look at the rankings. I'm looking at them right now. Paulo
Yeah.
Costa is 2. Robert Whittaker is 1. Cannonier is 3. Yoel is 4. Darren Till is 5. Jack Hermanson is 6. So you got to figure out what you're going to do with Yoel. And then also you have Shabazian versus Brunson, who are fighting this weekend.
Yeah.
You could imagine with the big win for Shabazian, maybe he's next for Till.
I want to see actually Yoel move up a weight class. I feel like he fought
205.
he fought 3 times for the belt. What's next for him?
There were talks of him going to 205 and facing John Jones in his first fight.
But he didn't want to move up, and because he have a great relationship with John Jones, he doesn't want to fight him. Now, just move up. Like we know that we don't know what happened, what's going on with John Jones. We don't know if he's fighting again, if he's fighting again in this division, if he come back, if he fights in the heavyweight. Just move up, go to the light heavyweight division. You will no longer have to cut weight, So just do it.
That might be the best division for him, honestly.
He's a monster. He's a
Back
beast.
to Robert Whittaker and Darren Till, though. What do you think is a realistic expectation for Robert Whittaker? Do you think that he gets back to that, championship? Do you think he wins a title ever again?
I think so. I think that if he have a rematch against Adesanya, I think that we will look at a complete different fight. Now,
do you think anyone beats Adesanya?
Yeah. I don't think that Adesanya is an undisputed title fighter.
Is honestly his biggest threat.
He can be. He's powerful.
That power, and he's got a chin. You've seen Yoel put some of his best shots on Costa.
But the problem is if Costa can last 5 rounds, and if he throw all his power in those 2 first rounds, can he last 5 rounds?
If he somehow, some way, does gas out within 2 rounds,
he's done.
Fucks him up.
Yeah, he will just light him up.
Him apart. He's too quick. He's too precise. He doesn't aim and pray like he says. He fucking just aims, fires, gets you right on the dot. And you've seen what he was able to do against Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
You've seen what he's been able to do against other guys. Brunson, same thing. I mean, he lined Brunson up with a beautiful knee. That division is great. The middleweight division, it's so stacked. Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier is an amazing fight. No one's even talking about Cannonier right now. It looks like we just brought up Yoel for one of the first times in this entire conversation. No one's even talking about Yoel, and he's still right there. Darren Till is obviously still a tremendous fighter. He's only lost to Robert Whittaker, who's one of the best in the world. He's only lost Jorge Masvidal, Tyron Woodley. Those are his 3 losses. The kid is still got heaps and heaps of talent. I think the middleweight division is definitely more suited to his size and his natural abilities. And I really feel like he knocks out a lot of these guys.
He can. He have the ability. Now, it's not just about potential, it's about actually doing it. And he didn't do it against Whittaker. Now we will see if he can bounce back.
We shall see. Anything else on UFC Fight Night 174?
Nothing special. I think that what I said before was pretty right. The main card delivered. The prelims were actually kind of maybe underrated, but we had Frank Mir Jr. We have some great fights. We have Tanner Boser. We had some pretty interesting results in these prelims. So overall, it's a very, very good card.
Now, I want to get your opinion on the entire Fight Island experience as a whole.
Well, dude, I think that the fighters actually had the better experience than us, the fans, because we weren't there. But the fighters actually had to stay in the 5-star hotels. They were,
And let me point this out: the 5 stars in Abu Dhabi are like 100 stars in America.
Exactly, and they had to different culture. They had to experience some of the food down there. They had to experience, some of everything. I think the view, I think everything was a huge experience for them, for the fighters. For us fans, we had the opportunity to see actually international fighters fight during this pandemic, which we hadn't the chance to see in the Apex. So yeah, it's amazing. It was amazing, I think. And like you said, you told me that they will come back there, right?
Yes, I believe they're planning on going back 2 more separate occasions. They're going to do another set of fights in a couple months, and then after that, they'll probably do 1 more set of fights.
The Khabib fight against Gaethje, do you think that it happens there?
I think most likely it happens in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Like I've been telling you, man, that's the fight capital of the Eastern. We're
Yeah.
the Western Hemisphere. It's all Las Vegas, but on the Eastern Hemisphere, man, Abu Dhabi is the fight capital of the world.
Europe is not it's a big market. You have the fan base, you have everything, but you will not have the type of money and the type of infrastructure that you will have in this kind of places, like in the middle, like in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, or in this type of country.
No, for sure, man. But that definitely wraps it up for UFC Fight Night 174. Thank you guys for staying this long with us. Stay tuned. We got Derek Brunson versus Shabazian breakdown coming. Co-main event for that card is JoJo Calderwood versus Jennifer Maia, Vicente Luque, Randy Brown. Great fights up and down. Can't wait. We're going to talk about that here in a minute, guys. Stay classy.
Peace.